That being said, let's get into this episode. Gentlemen, this week, the name on the marquee has got to be Rafael Fiziev, who this past weekend at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas defeated Rafael dos Anjos by knockout at the 18-second mark of round number 5. Mark, let me send it over to you first. What were your thoughts in the aftermath of this exciting contest between dos Anjos and Fiziev that saw Fiziev getting his hand raised in the end?
Rafael Fiziev, welcome to the big time. That man is the real deal. He just put down a legend to prove it. To RDA's credit, he still looked like a top 10 lightweight in there to me. Like, he hung with Fiziev the whole fight. I know he's getting older. He didn't appear like he was falling off to me at all, so credit to him. He even took round 4 and kind of had everyone thinking, like, wow, Fiziev is starting to look a little tired. Is this thing about to swing toward RDA late here, which is kind of what – it was kind of a talking point going into that fight. We've seen – Fiziev tire before. He got tired in round 3 against Bobby Green. So it was definitely a point of like, oh, what happens in these later rounds? 5-round fight, main event for the first time. And then after a little concern cropping up in round 4, he comes out in round 5, puts any of those doubts to bed, and puts RDA to bed. And that was a huge statement from Rafael Fiziev. That man looked so friggin' good all fight long. His takedown defense, we know now, is apparently incredible. I mean, I think RDA had one takedown. The takedown in round 4 was the only one in the entire fight, unless I'm forgetting one. Couldn't bring Fiziev down all night long. And if you have to stand and strike with Rafael Fiziev, it is very likely not going to go well for you. The man is high level on the feet. And combined with this takedown D that we've seen now, he has all the tools to potentially give trouble to this lightweight top 5 that's kind of been locked in for a while here, and that's the point we're at. We're going to see him against one of these guys, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Omar, let me bring you in here now. What were your impressions of the finish that Fiziev got in the 5th round?
Yeah, I mean, it was beautifully timed. I mean, he plays a really, really high-level Muay Thai game that it was really fun to watch. Even the flying knee was a fake. The flying knee was getting him sort of, if you watch that whole sequence in slow motion, the flying knee got his hand to come down, and then he came over with a right hand, which got his other hand to react, and then he was able to slip that left hook right in between his guard and catch him right on the chin. I mean, it's made his legs just snap together, like, just like a twig, just popped him right back together, fell on the floor, and I mean, that was all she wrote. It was a beautiful finish. The striking that he has, the fakes that he has, the traps that he sets, I think are super high level. The takedown defense was, I think, the most impressive, and I think the most one of the bigger things to take away from that fight. We should keep in mind, though, that when RDA did get him down, Fiziev did not get back up. He had a real problem even getting to, once he was even against the cage, it still wasn't very easy for him to get back up. He was a lot more effective, I would say, when he was clinching standing up, which isn't a surprise considering his background. But he was able to get out of a lot of those problemsome areas. But once his feet were horizontal, he was having some issues. So that should be taken into account, especially once we start getting up into the higher tiers. But it was a fantastic performance from Fiziev. RDA is not a slouch, even still at this point, by any stretch of the imagination. So it's a real feather in his cap, especially to knock him out. I'm excited to see what Fiziev has going forward because it's exciting.
Mark, what did you make of the stoppage? I saw a few voices in the internet world voicing displeasure about the stoppage, maybe because of the position at the point in the fight in terms of being later in the fight. What did you think?
Yeah, I had zero problem with it. He went down bad, and then Fiziev landed really clean with that one shot on the ground. To me, that was when it gets waved off, which is exactly what did happen. Even after the fight, RDA came out, said he watched it, and he was like, no, there's nothing I can really say about that. I get it. So I don't think there's any controversy on that one, personally.
Once the legs force themselves to come together like that, your body is locked up. Like, that's it. We can call that a knockout. The fact that you dropped to the floor and maybe kind of woke back up, that's an argument in and of itself. But you were knocked out, son. Like,
But
you
then
went
he
out.
eats another huge one on the floor.
He does, and it wasn't getting any better. It's not like
No.
this dude was going to lay off. It was going to get worse. So it was a great stoppage, a good, very, very good stoppage.
Agree.
Man, I'm a Fiziev guy, man. He has made me into a fan. He's exciting to watch. He always brings danger into the cage every single fight, every single minute that he's in there. He has great power for lightweight, great frame. He's a problem at 155 pounds in the UFC right now. Let's talk about where Rafael Fiziev goes from here, because lightweight gets real crowded real quick at the top, and he's pretty much there now. Mark, give me the name. Put on your matchmaker hat and give me the name of who you would match up him with next.
So, as our listeners know, I've kind of been on this train of Justin Gaethje should be the guy to test one of these guys who are breaking through here. We mentioned Gamrot. Could it be him? Fiziev himself asked for Gaethje in the post-fight press conference. Not the in-cage. That was where he asked for Rafael Nadal, which guy's got to work on his in-cage call-outs. So far, we have Hezbollah and Rafael Nadal. Talk about seizing the moment. But he asked for Gaethje at the press conference, and I am fully on board. Let that be the one of this new age of lightweight coming up. Gaethje and Fiziev is an absolute banger. If it can't be Gaethje, Chandler honestly works. That could be amazing as well. But for some reason, I think I prefer Gaethje for Fiziev.
Imagine if Michael Johnson got on the mic and called out like Michael Jordan. It's like, let's see who's the best Michael in sports. Michael Jordan.
Yeah, not great. Not great.
Omar, what are your thoughts?
So the top of this whole lightweight division is not only crowded, but no one's really scheduled for anything. There's a lot of fluctuation. Everybody's also still playing the where's Conor McGregor going to drop game. So, like, anything is possible at this point. They could literally match anybody with anybody in the top 8, 9, and it would probably make sense to some degree. What I wanted, and this is purely personal, I don't even know if it's the right way to go, but it's what I want, and I want to see Fiziev against Gamrot. I want to chink those two together. Look at how Mark hates that. I want to chink those two together.
You're not rewarding either one of them. You're making them take another step.
Completely aware.
Ugh.
But I want to see it. I want to see it, and I want to see who deserves to start hitting the top.
I
That's
get
where
the
I'm at.
want to see it. I'm just so tired of these same top guys fighting each other all the time that I'd rather Gamrot fight one of them and Fiziev fight one of them. But I get it. Obviously, it'd be awesome.
They both called out Gaethje in the cage. I'm pretty sure Gamrot called him
Gamrot
out
did too. You're right.
Yeah.
I forgot he did.
So they both called out Gaethje. I'm fully on board for that fight. Both of those fights sound like pure 100% violence. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
If I just, where's Poirier? What's Poirier doing? Poirier's off in the ether. Like, who knows? But he's also got the number 2 spot. Charles Oliveira's not going to fight him. Oliveira's probably going to get Islam at this point next.
No one wants to take a fight because they're all waiting for Conor to be like, "Hey, I'm back," and then they're all going to be like, "Wait, pick me, I'm the one."
Money fight.
But they're all also waiting for title shots too at the same time. Beneil's probably still waiting for a title shot. Chandler is like waiting for who wants the title shot so he could beat him and get his title shot. Like everybody's waiting for the one that matters most, and it's hard for me to see a lot of people wanting to take the up and comers that are trying to just take their slots.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, watching Fiziev and Gamrot fight wouldn't really take away from either one of their positions because I think it's going to be a competitive fight anyway. And at the same time, it would give them less of a reason to be like, oh, I don't want to fight this guy because there's literally no one else for them to fight. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, man. It's true. A lot of these guys are just waiting for Mr. McGregor to roll into town.
Dude, the lightweight division, though, is so... I mean, you could look at the top 30 and be relatively impressed by the talent in the lightweight division. It's
Dude, we could do a whole episode on comparing lightweight, featherweight, and bantamweight right now because those 3 divisions are just incredible.
Just for reference to your comment, my number 30 lightweight in my rankings is Grant Dawson, who's 18-1 and undefeated in the UFC at 6-0.
Yeah.
Like,
there you have it.
The lightweight division is crazy, and Jim Miller is probably below 30.
He is. He's I think he's like 35-ish.
So
30,
one-
He's
37
Jim Miller.
in my
Yeah,
ranks.
bro. Yeah.
And he's a stud, man. Jim Miller's a fucking stud. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
talk
Lightweight's
about
crazy.
let's talk about where RDA might go from here. Omar, let me throw it over to you first this time. He's aging. You know, in the words of Luke Thomas, who has said many times this idea that MMA is a sport where the young cannibalize the old, and he was proven
Is that
right.
a Luke Thomas thing?
I know he has said that many times,
I always say that on here, and maybe I got that from Luke Thomas. Interesting.
possibly.
I didn't
Every
know
time
that
I've
was
ever
like a
heard
thing.
Luke Thomas say that, he prefaces it by saying, "I've said this many times."
Very possible that's where I got that from.
And it
I use that.
it
That
happened
was
again.
That was one of your better impressions. I like that one. That was
I wasn't
good.
even trying to do an impression.
That was good.
It happened again this past Saturday night because I think Fiziev is 29 years old and RDA I believe is 37.
Yep.
But I think Mark, you made the point earlier that he still looked like a top 10 lightweight and pretty durable to go almost 5 rounds with Rafael Fiziev. So Omar, let me throw it over to you this time first. Put on that matchmaker hat and give me a name of where you'd want to do with RDA next.
So remember how I was talking about everybody's kind of wondering where to drop Conor McGregor?
Oh, here we go.
Make a little Conor McGregor RDA action. I mean, this seems like there's history there. We've got it blew up like a balloon nonsense all going on, right? With his foot and the broken nonsense. There's history there. We can definitely make this fight at this point. I think from a ranking standpoint, it also makes sense if I'm not mistaken. And it's a fight that needs to happen at this point. I mean, we're not at a point now where RDA is so far away from McGregor that it doesn't make any more sense. Like, we're there. It makes sense. And stylistically, I think it's very interesting.
Mark, agree, disagree? Give us your thoughts on where RDA goes next.
So I've been on that same boat. When we've mentioned who is the perfect comeback opponent for Conor, I've been saying RDA for all those same reasons. Built-in story. It's not necessarily like a murderer like some of these top guys, et cetera, et cetera. Unfortunately, I kind of feel like he needed to win that fight for that fight to be a possibility. I don't see Conor taking it with RDA coming off a loss. So as much as I still would like to see that, I'll go a different route. We mentioned, or at least I mentioned last week, that I thought if RDA lost this fight, he would make sense for Arman Tsarukyan. And I do think that works. I think that Tsarukyan deserves not to be given any step down, especially because I thought he won that Gamrot fight. And I think this is a perfect relaunching for either RDA or Tsarukyan, because winning that fight, even though they're both coming off a loss, whoever wins that fight would absolutely be a big win. So I like that matchup.
Yeah. But you're still kind of feeding RDA to the young up-and-comers.
I mean, hey, dude, you lost. You're gonna have to hold the spot.
100%. Also, I'm going to say I will disagree with the take of matching RDA with Conor. I do not think that fight needs to happen. Conor, to me, is maybe the only guy on the entire UFC roster who different matchmaking rules apply to Conor McGregor because of the size of his star. Just about everybody else, you match them up because the matchup makes sense, the rankings make sense. To me, I'm just going to say this. This might be a little bit of a hot take. As much of a legend that RDA is, former champion, he's one of the greats. I don't think RDA is a big enough name and a big enough star to match it with Conor at this point in Conor's career.
I think Conor could fight a chicken and he would sell 1 million pay-per-view fights. I'm gonna put that out there.
Fully get that take. I just feel like we are at a point now where they need to try to get Conor a win. And I'm not saying that's a definite win, because who knows what Conor even is right now.
But part of it too for Conor from a promotional point of view, absolutely.
Right, like that feels at least not Conor can beat anyone. First of all, I will always support Conor. The dude, I'm maybe not anyone. I'm not picking him to beat Charles Oliveira or Islam Makhachev. Those are terrible. He just doesn't match up with them. But anyone else, Conor could beat him. But he's got a much better chance of beating RDA than he does of beating a Michael Chandler right now. So if you're the UFC, I feel like I'd feel safer putting him across from RDA to at least try to get him one win to be like, Conor's back. Now we match him up with whoever the fuck in the main event. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I signed up for bouncy Conor. I didn't sign up for this fucking boxing hook spammy commer.
We say it all the time, man. When the training for the Floyd fight destroyed the MMA fighter that Conor was.
Jesus Christ. I'm here for Bouncy Conor. If Bouncy Conor comes back, I'm on board. But if he comes back with this flat-footed bullshit, I can't be a part of it.
Anyway, I think this man's going to say he needs to fight at 170 anyway. I don't even think he's going to fight at 155.
So? Which I also
RDA fits
hate.
that bill then, because RDA is a tweener just like that. So, but, who knows?
I hate
Okay, let's move on. We could talk so much about this. Yeah, Conor just is. There's so many layers to talking about.
He just got so big. He's fucking huge.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Let's go on to our other recaps. Congrats to Rafael Fiziev for being on the marquee this week.